Imagine a continent on the brink of transformation. The year is 1775. 13 American colonies are burning with revolutionary passion, their desire for independence echoing across the landscape. Just beyond their northern border lies Canada, a territory seemingly ripe for revolution, yet destined to remain untouched by the flames of rebellion. But why? What complex web of historical circumstances prevented the revolutionary spirit from crossing the border? Let's unravel this fascinating historical mystery. Population and cultural landscape. In 1775, Canada was fundamentally different from the American colonies. Approximately 90,000 European settlers inhabited Quebec, predominantly French-speaking, recently conquered by the British in 1760. Unlike their southern neighbors, these settlers had a unique cultural identity that would prove crucial in resisting revolutionary temptations. The Quebec Act, a strategic masterstroke. The British Parliament enacted the Quebec Act of 1774, a politically brilliant maneuver that effectively neutralized potential revolutionary sentiment. This act was no ordinary legislation. It was a calculated strategy that provided tangible benefits to French Canadians. First, it guaranteed religious freedom for Catholics in a predominantly Catholic region. Second, it preserved French civil law, maintaining the cultural integrity of the French settlers. Third, it expanded Quebec's territorial boundaries. Fourth, it allowed French inhabitants to maintain their distinct cultural identity. These provisions created a protective legal and social environment that made revolution seem not just unnecessary, but potentially risky. Contrasting perspectives on British rule. Where American colonists saw British taxation as tyrannical oppression, Canadian settlers, particularly the French Canadians, perceived potential revolution differently. They had fresh memories of the 7 Years' War, and the Quebec Act had provided them stability and recognition. The economic and social conditions in Canada were relatively comfortable. Why risk everything for an uncertain revolutionary future? The attempted invasion. In a bold and ultimately futile move, American revolutionary leaders Benedict Arnold and Richard Montgomery actually attempted to liberate Canada in 1775. Their invasion was more than a military campaign. It was a test of revolutionary ideology. The result? A decisive defeat. At the Battle of Quebec City, Canadian militia and British troops not only repelled the American forces, but symbolically crushed any serious revolutionary ambitions in Canadian territory. Long-term implications. This decision to remain loyal to the British Crown had profound generational consequences. Canada remained a British territory, developing a distinct national identity. It chose a path of gradual, peaceful constitutional evolution. A fundamentally different political culture emerged, contrasting sharply with the United States. Deeper cultural dynamics. Beyond politics, complex cultural factors prevented revolutionary spread. The French-Canadian identity was deeply rooted. Their Catholic faith, preserved legal structures, and linguistic heritage created a social fabric resistant to external revolutionary ideologies. Economic considerations further complicated the picture. Established trade networks, the lucrative fur trade, and maritime commerce with Britain provided economic stability. Canadian merchants and landowners saw more potential risk than opportunity in joining a rebellion. Geopolitical complexity. The 18th century North American landscape was intricate. Canada existed at a unique intersection between indigenous territories, British imperial interests, and American expansionist ambitions. Revolution was neither simple nor straightforward in this nuanced environment. A profound realization. What emerges from this historical narrative is a powerful insight. National identities are not formed through singular dramatic moments, but through complex negotiations, cultural interactions, and strategic decisions spanning generations. The story of why Canada didn't join the American Revolution is more than a historical footnote. It's a testament to the intricate ways societies navigate change, preserve identity, and chart their own unique paths. The American Revolution was more than a war. It was a complex social transformation that dramatically reshaped North America. Yet Canada stood as a unique exception, a territory literally neighboring the revolutionary fervor, but remaining mysteriously untouched. Indigenous alliances, the critical diplomatic factor. Many indigenous nations played a pivotal role in preventing Canadian revolutionary momentum. Tribes like the Iroquois Confederacy had complex relationships with both British and American settlers. Their strategic alliances with the British in Quebec provided a powerful buffer against revolutionary expansion. The indigenous perspective was pragmatic. They saw potential American expansion as a greater threat to their territories than maintaining the existing British colonial structure. By supporting British governance in Canada, Indigenous leaders effectively created a geopolitical firebreak, preventing revolutionary spread. French-Canadian political psychology. The psychological landscape of French Canadians was fundamentally different from their American counterparts. Recent French defeat in the 7 Years' War had created a nuanced political consciousness. Rather than seeing British rule as oppressive, many viewed it as a protective umbrella preserving their cultural identity. The Quebec Act of 1774 was not just a legal document, it was a sophisticated psychological strategy. By guaranteeing religious freedoms, preserving French civil law, and allowing cultural autonomy, the British effectively neutralized potential revolutionary sentiments. Economic calculations. Economic motivations often drive historical transformations. In Canada, the existing economic structures provided stability that revolutionary rhetoric couldn't easily disrupt. The fur trade represented a sophisticated international economic network. Montreal and Quebec City were crucial commercial hubs deeply integrated with British maritime trade. Merchants and traders calculated that revolution would disrupt these lucrative economic relationships. Military strategic considerations. Military preparedness played a crucial role. British garrisons in Quebec were strategically positioned and well-equipped. The local militia, primarily French-speaking, were more inclined to defend their existing social order than embrace uncertain revolutionary promises. When Benedict Arnold and Richard Montgomery attempted their invasion in 1775, they encountered not just military resistance, but a profound cultural resilience. The Battle of Quebec City became a symbolic moment demonstrating Canadian unwillingness to be absorbed into the revolutionary narrative. Cultural identity formation. What emerged was not just a political decision, but a complex process of cultural identity formation. Canada was developing a distinct national consciousness, one that valued gradual evolution over radical transformation. This approach contrasted sharply with the American revolutionary model. While Americans sought immediate, dramatic change, Canadians pursued a path of negotiated, peaceful constitutional development. Long-term historical implications. The decision to resist revolution had profound generational consequences. Preservation of multicultural legal frameworks, development of a unique national identity, establishment of a different political philosophy, emphasizing compromise over confrontation. Global context, understanding Canada's resistance, requires a broader global perspective. The late 18th century was a period of complex imperial negotiations. Colonial territories weren't monolithic, but intricate social ecosystems with multiple competing narratives. Canada represented a nuanced alternative to the binary of colonial oppression versus revolutionary liberation. It demonstrated that national identity could be constructed through dialogue, strategic compromise, and respect for cultural diversity. Contemporary relevance. The story of why Canada didn't join the American Revolution offers more than historical curiosity. It provides a powerful lens for understanding how societies navigate transformative moments. In an era of global political polarization, the Canadian example reminds us that meaningful change often happens through patient negotiation rather than dramatic confrontation.